Hello everybody, I'm Egdo, and Avatar The Last Airbender is my favorite animated television show of all time. And today we have a tier list of all the best characters over the entire show. We have live action ATLA, Colony Trash, That's Rough Buddy, Perfect Jasmine Tea, Nothing's Quenchier, Avatar State, and Iroh. I don't want to spend too long talking about everyone. I want to get through the characters really quick. Just really quickly before we start, I'm basing this entire tier list off of power, funniness, character development, my personal opinion, and how important they are to the show. I might skip through a few characters, but I'm going to get through as many as possible. Let's start in alphabetical order with Aang. Aang goes into the top tier because he is literally one of the best characters in the whole show. Don't have to explain why. Let's move on to Arpa, who's going very high up in the Avatar State tier. One of the best characters. Without him, Team Avatar would have absolutely failed miserably off the get-go. Everyone loves Arpa. Let's move on to Arnook, who goes into Perfect Jasmine Tea, the chief of the Northern Water Tribe. All he really does is tell Sokka to protect Princess Yue, which Sokka fails to do. But that's because she turns into the moon or something. Yeah, I like his character, but he's nothing crazy. Next we have Azula, who goes into Avatar State as well. As I said, if this tier list was based off of like the worst people, then like obviously she would be at the bottom, but she's one of the most powerful. She's extremely important to the story. Her character development, she doesn't have much character development. She's just evil the entire time. But yeah, we all hate her, but we also love her because she's one of the main antagonists in the whole show. That's why she's extremely high up in this list. Now on to her grandfather, who I'm putting into Perfect Jasmine Tea. We don't see him much. He was the Firelord over the majority of the war. And yeah, he's obviously extremely powerful, but again, we don't see him much. I don't want to talk about him for too long. Let's move on to the Baboon Spirit, who we only see for one episode, but in that one episode, he becomes a really memorable character. I'm putting him in PJT because he's kind of funny, I guess. He doesn't really do much. Fun fact, the Baboon Spirit is voiced by Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker. Yeah, cool. Let's move on to Bato. I'm actually putting Bato in Nothing's Quenchier. He's a little bit of a side character, but he's also important because he shows up a lot. He's pretty much like Hakoda. In my opinion, Hakoda and Bato are on the same level. He's a cool character. He's not the most powerful, but he's also important to the story. Bosco, PJT. Don't need to talk about the bear. We all love the bear. Let's move on to Boomy, who goes straight into Avatar State. I love his relationship with Aang, as they were friends 100 years ago. Also, everyone loves Boomy. If you don't like Boomy, then you're an idiot, so click off this video now, please. Yeah, we all love Boomy. We're putting him in Avatar State. What else can I talk about? But there's someone who we all love even more is the Cabbage Man, and that's exactly why he goes into That's Rough Buddy, because he isn't important to the story overall at all. Yes, he's very funny, and we all love Cabbage Man, but That's Rough Buddy. Sorry, mate. As I told you, I don't know if I told you guys, but I'm being really harsh. I'm being really harsh in this tier list. I'm not putting everyone in the top tier. I'm being harsh, okay? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Cabbage Man, but that's where you're going. Speaking of being harsh, I'm actually going to be putting the Canyon Guide in Colony Trash, because that episode was technically the worst episode in Avatar's history, so the main character in that episode has to be pretty low down, and we only see him once. Let's move on to Chin, who fights Avatar Kiyoshi and dies because he's a bit of an idiot. We only see him once. There's not much to talk about. Let's move on to Chit Sang, who I'm putting in Perfect Jasmine Tea as well. He's in the most secure prison ever, and they try to escape. I love that episode, and I like him as a character, but he's not that powerful and not that important overall. Then we have Chong, who's also going in Perfect Jasmine Tea. Secret Tunnel. We all love him, but he's just this random side character that we see once, and he sings a song, which we all love. Then we have Combustion Man, who I'm putting in Nothing's Quenchier. Sparky Boom Man. I love the way Zuko tells him to capture or kill the Avatar, and he does that over the seasons. He's always consistent. He always rocks up at the worst time possible. I love it. I love the fact that he shoots fire out of his brain. It's cool. He's a very memorable character. Another memorable character is the Dai Li, who I'm actually putting in the Avatar State. I love the fact that they pretty much rule over Ba Sing Se, even though no one knows they exist. It's quite a cool and unique thing in my opinion. I like Long Feng, and I like Azula, and I like how they rule the Dai Li, who rules Ba Sing Se behind the scenes. It's really cool. The Dai Li are an underrated group of like assassins or like police force. I like the Dai Li a lot, and that's why they're up high in this list. Next up, we've got Dark. Where's Dark? Yeah, just Perfect Jasmine Tea. I like him. He's in the Painted Lady episode, but he's nothing special. Earth King, I'm not the biggest fan of the Earth King. That's Rough Buddy. And then we have the Ember Island actors, who I'm putting in Perfect Jasmine T. They're important in the episode just before the final battle, where they're trying to show the viewers a quick reminder of everything that happened over the entire series, which is cool. I like it, but ultimately it's just a filler episode, really. And now we have Fang. My G. Fang being one of the only dragons we see over the whole show. There's a couple more dragons that I'll talk about later, but Fang goes in Nothing's Quenchier. He is important to Aang's story, as Aang needs to communicate with Fang through the spirit world. I like Fang. He shows up as a blue spirit to help Aang, but ultimately, he's Roku's dragon. We see more of Roku than the dragon himself, Fang. So that's why he's in Nothing's Quenchier, because he's really cool, really important, but he isn't, he's not Uncle Iroh. Speaking of Uncle Iroh, we have Colony Trash Man, who's going in Colony Trash Man. That he has nothing to do with Uncle Iroh. I don't know why I said that. Colony Trash goes in Colony Trash. And then we have the foam mouth guy. I'm just chucking him in That's Rough Buddy. Fang, the man who is in the Order of the White Lotus. I love his connection with Iroh when they're playing that game of Pai Sho. Then we have Grand. Don't need to talk about her too much. She's cool. She goes in Perfect Jasmine T as well. Then we have Pathik, the only Indian man in the entire show. I love him. He teaches Aang the importance of the chakras, which I actually personally find really interesting when I'm watching the show, and also helps Aang understand how the avatar state works and how the spirit world works, as Pathik is connected to the spirit world, as he is this monk that is really wise and old. I like him. That's why he's going in Nothing's Quenchier. Monk Gyatso also goes in Nothing's Quenchier. Taught Aang a lot about airbending when he was younger, or when they were both younger, 100 years ago. You know what I mean. Then we have Hakoda, who I'm also putting in Nothing's Quenchier. Now I have to put him above Bato, because in my opinion, as I said before, Bato and Hakoda are quite similar. They pop up in a lot of episodes. They're both practically like the father and the godfather of the main characters. I like them a lot. The invasion episode's one of my favorite episodes in the entire show, and these two, Bato and Hakoda, are extremely important in that episode, along with other episodes, but I can't talk about them all day, otherwise we'll be here all day. Then we have Haroo, the man with the mustache of dreams. I'm putting him in Perfect Jasmine T purely because of his mustache. Other than that, he's just an earthbender who shows up a few times, helps out in the invasion, and helps out in the final battle in Sozin's Comet, but ultimately is just a side character who's not that powerful. Speaking about powerful things, we have Haibei, or Heibei, the powerful panda spirit who I'm putting in Avatar state. I love the fact that he's one of the only spirits in the entire show that's like not evil but violent. The panda spirit comes and steals Sokka away, and for a very good reason. The Earth Kingdom forest that he was protecting for thousands of years got burnt down by the Fire Nation, so rightfully so. He was very angry, and I like the way that Aang has to communicate with him through the spirit world, and it teaches Aang about the spirit world, and it's good for character development of Aang, and I love the panda because we all love pandas. Okay, let's move on. We have Hu from the Foggy Swamp Tribe. I love the way that he turns into this gigantic seaweed monster. But yeah, he goes into Perfect Jasmine T. In fact, he might even be low Nothing's Quenchier, but because he's not that important of a character overall, I'm putting him in Perfect Jasmine T. He's helpful, he's on the good side, but ultimately he only really knows how to turn himself into a giant seaweed creature, which is cool, but not cool enough to get in the top of this tier list. And now we have Uncle Iroh. What can I say? His name is literally the top tier. He's part of the White Lotus. He has connections to the spirit world. He's also one of the best firebenders in the entire world. We all love Iroh. I don't need to talk about him for too long because we all love Iroh. He's the best character in the world. If you think I'm wrong, then you're wrong. Yeah, the best character in the entire show is General Iroh. Then we have Zhongjong, who I'm going to put in Nothing's Quenchier. We also have Jet, who I'm going to put in Nothing's Quenchier. I like both of these characters. I like Jet a little bit more, so I might put like Jet like that. Zhongjong sort of shows up for an episode, teaches Aang, and leaves. He's part of the White Lotus, which is very cool, and how he comes back in the very last episode, where the White Lotus goes to reconquer Ba Sing Se, which is cool. And Jet is one of the only characters in the show to die. He ultimately gives Team Avatar the emotional kick that they need to keep moving forward. Let's move on to Jin, who goes into That's Rough Buddy. Jodie, who also goes into That's Rough Buddy. June, who goes into Perfect Jasmine Tea. I don't really want to talk about them too much. She just goes on a date with Zuko. She's just really creepy. June, I'll talk about June more when we get to her Shearshu. So instead of talking about June, let's talk about Katara, who I'm putting straight into Avatar State. One of the best waterbenders in the world. She goes head to head with Azula and beats her in the final battle, which I think is really impressive. One of my favorite battles in the entire show, as I said before. She deserves to be up here with the likes of Azula and Arpa and close to even Aang as well, because she is literally the goddess of waterbending. Not really, but like, you know what I mean. We then have Ko the Face Stealer, who I'm actually putting in Nothing's Quenchier. We all know what he does. He steals faces. And I love the episode where Aang goes and meets him and Aang has to keep a straight face. It's quite funny. And ultimately, the Face Stealer is a cool character that we all remember very, very well because of he's just a super memorable character. We have Kia, Katara's mum, up next. I'm putting her in Perfect Jasmine Tea. We only see her once. Now we have Avatar Kiyoshi, who I have to put in Avatar State because she was an Avatar. Personally, she's not my favorite Avatar. I don't really like the way that she killed Chin. Or she technically didn't kill Chin. Like, you know, she separated the earth and then Chin fell, which is quite funny. But I mean, ultimately, she's an Avatar. She was an Avatar who is important to the story, gives Aang some advice. Not the best advice, but at least she's there and she exists. This is La, and La goes into Avatar State. At the Northern Water Tribe, when La becomes spiritually connected with Aang, La turns into a gigantic glowing blue monster that is super epic, and we all love that episode. We all remember that episode. I like La. Yeah, everyone likes La. If you don't like La, then you're dumb. Next, Long Feng. I'm actually putting Long Feng into Nothing's Quenchier. Now, why am I putting him in Nothing's Quenchier? Because he ran the Dai Li for a long time. The group of people that I talked about before that pretty much ran Ba Sing Se, and I like the way that he was the ruler of them, which is cool. He's not above them because I think the Dai Li, as just the thought of Dai Li, is much cooler than the thought of Long Feng, if that makes sense. And yeah, Long Feng is important, but ultimately Azula takes over the Dai Li and Long Feng just goes to prison because of a bite on his leg. So yeah, I like Long Feng, but there's no need to talk about him forever. We now have Longshot, who I'm going to put into Perfect Jasmine Tea. Not much to talk about with him, but May is someone that I can talk about a lot, as I'm putting her all the way up in Avatar State. Her and Ty Lee are so good at fighting against actual benders, makes her extremely powerful. You know what I mean? We now have Yu, who I'm going to put in PJT. I'm not going to talk about him because otherwise this video would be forever. But he's a good character, side character. Let's move on to Momo, who I'm also putting in Perfect Jasmine Tea. Don't need to talk about him either. However, I am going to be talking about Nyla the Shearshu, who I'm actually putting pretty high up in Nothing's Quenchier. The Shearshu has the ability to smell people on the other side of the world and has a poisonous, venomous tongue, which is super cool. That's why he's there. And obviously, the Shearshu is extremely important to the story, as Zuko uses the Shearshu to find the Avatar about 10 times. Then we have Firelord Ozai, who's going into Avatar State. Undeniably one of the most powerful firebenders in the entire world, possibly even ever. Not as high as the likes of Iroh and Aang, purely because he is the antagonist who Aang is leading up to kill. One of my favorite parts about the entire show is in the last episode when Aang is taking away his firebending. My friend said it perfectly when we watched it a couple of weeks ago, how the orange glow covering the bodies of Firelord Ozai and Aang is getting more orange and more orange, almost like Aang is gonna fail. And then when it gets to that last little pixel, it goes all blue, and it's just super cool because it's almost like Aang is gonna fail, but he doesn't, and it's one of the most epic moments in the entire show. And yeah, I love that part. Obviously, the fight itself was amazing as well, and just the whole lead up was cool. Let's move on to the Painted Lady. I'm putting her in Perfect Jasmine Tea. And then Master Paku, I'm putting him in Avatar State. And then I'm also going to put Piando into Avatar State as well. One of them is a master of water bending. One of them is a master of sword fighting and like manual combat. I love them both. I like Piando a little bit more than Paku because Paku's a little bit misogynistic. Let's just move on. We have Pip Squeak. Let's put Pip Squeak in Perfect Jasmine Tea. And now we have Ran and Shaw, who I'm actually putting all the way up in the top tier of Iroh. Why? Because they are two of the coolest characters in the entire show and they only show up for one episode. How can you be such a cool character if you're only there for one episode? The only known two dragons in the entire world that are left after obviously Sozin murdered them all, because we all know what happened. But yeah, these two are insane. They were revered by the Sun Warriors. They helped Aang and Zuko and Iroh find the most original form of firebending. I love the whole fire dance and I love that episode that they're in. And one of my favorite things in the entire show is the cool glowing rainbow fire that they permit that represents the true meaning of firebending, which I think is just super cool and awesome. Next, Avatar Roku. Let's put him in Avatar state. He helps out Aang a lot more than Kiyoshi does. Avatar Roku is just such an amazing character that we all know and love. There's no need to talk about him. Let's move on. We have Gashan Sandbender. I'm putting him in live action ATLA because that's where you deserve to be. You absolute pathetic hooligan. Then we have Smello B. I'm putting Smello B in Perfect Jasmine T. Part of the Freedom Fighters, same with Longshot, Pip Squeak, and the Duke. But yeah, I don't really want to talk about them. I talked about Jet. You guys know the Freedom Fighters. They're cool, but they're nothing crazy like Sokka, who is extremely crazy. One of the funniest characters in the entire show. In my opinion, the funniest character. That's why he's going all the way up into Avatar state. He's not the most powerful, but he's extremely important to the story. Character development is amazing. My favorite part of his storyline is when he meets his master Piandu and he creates that sword out of that alien meteorite of obsidian. It's super cool. I love Sokka. We all love Sokka. Next up is Suki. I'm actually putting Suki in Avatar state as well. She's one of the best fighters in the world, and being one of the best Kiyoshi warriors in the world means that you have to be very high up on this list. She's very similar to the likes of Mei and Tai Li. You know, just a really good fighter who's not a bender. So they are powerful, but they're not powerful. That didn't make sense. Let's move on to the Sun Warrior Chief, who I'm putting up in Nothing's Quenchia. He's in Nothing's Quenchia. Why? Well, because the Sun Warriors are this really cool secret organization, society, ancient people that are amazing and everyone loves them. They learnt the most original form of firebending through Ren and Shaw, one of my favorite characters in the whole show. So they have to be high up on this list. I love the Sun Warriors. Now let's move on. The Swamp Benders, as I said before with you, I'm putting them in Perfect Jasmine T. They help out in the invasion, but other than that, they are just side characters. Tio, that's rough, buddy. He only shows up a few times. Not my favorite character. Yep. We then have the Boulder, who I'm putting in Perfect Jasmine T because I like the Boulder. He's amazing. We all love the Boulder, but he's also a side character. Then we have the Duke, who I'm also putting in Perfect Jasmine T. Toph, the best earthbender in the entire world. Definitely goes into Iroh. She's actually my second favorite character, maybe my third favorite character. The fact that she's one of the best earthbenders in the world and she's blind makes it 10 times more impressive. We all love Toph. As I literally just said, she's one of my favorite characters. She's extremely powerful. She's extremely important to the show, and she is extremely funny. So yeah, she's in Iroh. If you think I'm wrong, then you're wrong, and I hate you. No, I'm kidding, but she's in the top tier. Then we have Toph's parents, who I'm putting in That's Rough, Buddy. I hate the fact that they stuck Shinfu and Yu on following Toph around and forcing her to come home. Yeah, they suck. Let's just leave them there and move on. I'm putting Yui in Avatar state right next to La. I love the fact that Princess Yue, haha, funny how it's Yui and Yue turns into the moon because unfortunately Yui dies because of that a-hole Admiral Zhao. We've all seen it. Yui dies and Yue needs to turn into the moon spirit to create balance in this world. Ty Lee, I've already talked about Ty Lee a few times. Right next to Mei, they're pretty much the same people. And then we have the Unagi, who I'm putting in Nothing's Quenchia. Probably pretty high up in Nothing's Quenchia as well. I love the episode where Aang tries to fight it, but then ultimately Aang ends up persuading it into helping out Kiyoshi Island when it gets set on fire. It's very cool, it's very interesting. But let's move on. Zuko's mom, that's rough, buddy. Yeah, you can't raise a child to save your life. We've got Washi Tong, who I'm putting in Nothing's Quenchia. I could talk about it for hours, but otherwise this video would be 30 hours long. I wish I could talk about all these people in more detail, but I'm not going to because that's where Washi Tong deserves to be. The Warden of the Boiling Rock. The most secure prison goes into PJT. I like the Boiling Rock episodes, but him as a person, he's not exactly that powerful. He's not exactly that important to the overall story. He is like scary and he forces Team Avatar into a lot of bad situations, but ultimately he just sucks and no one likes him. Yon Rah, the man that killed Katara and Sokka's mum. I'm putting him in high Jasmine T. He's only in a couple episodes, we only see him a few times, but I like the fact that Katara uses her blood-bending ability in the episode. I just think it's really cruel, but also quite poetic because deserves it. Princess Yue, I'm putting in Nothing's Quenchier. I already talked about her when I talked about the fact that she turned into the moon and died. She's a cool character. I'm putting her in Nothing's Quenchier. The Yan Archers, I'm actually putting in Nothing's Quenchier. I am a big fan of like archery and just archers in shows as well. And these guys are the best archers in the entire world. And I love that. I love the fact that they never miss their target and they are an underrated group of people. Yeah, so that's why they're going up in Nothing's Quenchier. We also have Admiral Zhao, who I'm also putting in Nothing's Quenchier. He always shows up. He's always a thorn in the side of Team Avatar, but he also seems to lose all of his fights. And every single time he captures the Avatar, he loses the Avatar. And it's just like, you know, yeah, he's a consistent character over the whole show, but ultimately he's no one likes Admiral Zhao, and he's extremely powerful, but he sucks at everything. He just fails. He's just a failure. And last but certainly not least, we have Zuko. Now, where am I putting Zuko? Here or here? Here, I'm putting him in second place. Zuko is my second favorite character in the entire show, just after General Iroh or Uncle Iroh or just Iroh. We're talking about Zuko now. I love his redemption arc. Everything about his redemption arc is amazing. We all love Zuko. I'm going to quickly edit all of the people into their perfect positions where they deserve to be. And there it is. That is the full tier list. And if you think I'm wrong, that's the bottom one, it's Sam Bennett. If you think I'm wrong, you're wrong. Thank you for watching. Nah, if you think I'm wrong, please comment down below in the form of an Uncle Iroh inspirational quote. Thank you for watching. Bye.